Hello, I'm Hunter O'Haney and the director of the College Art Association, or CAA as we're known now. And I'm here today with Jessica Uelsmann, who is the registrar here at the Harn Museum, University of Florida in Gainesville. Hello, Jessica, how are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thank you.
Thank you so much for letting us down here into the collections area. And this is a lot of your workroom and your workspace going on down here. Tell us a little bit, how long have you been at the Harn Museum?
I've been here about 10 years now. I started as the associate registrar working with exhibitions and loans, and I've been the senior registrar here for about 3 years.
Wow. And you enjoying it?
I do enjoy it. I love it.
Yeah. How many objects do you have under your control?
We have just over 11,000 objects in the collection.
Wow. Works on paper, 3D, video, time-based?
All of that. It runs the gamut. We have 5 main collecting areas with some little outer areas as well. So it's African, Asian, modern, contemporary, and photography are our main areas.
And so most of the work is going into exhibitions here at the museum, right?
Right.
And then you lend work as well, too?
We do.
You do. And also, do you oversee registering work which is borrowed for the exhibitions as well, too?
My department does that, and so we will bring in many, many objects, at least 100, I would say, loans into the museum for both in-house exhibitions and exhibitions that we plan to travel.
So what special procedures do you have for making sure that the borrowed work that comes in is not in your collection?
Well, we have a lot of internal paperwork that we fill out to keep track with our own processes, and then we always have a loan agreement with the lender, which will help us track and takes care of all the legal language that we need to have in place.
Sure, sure. We were talking a little bit, too, about found in the collection. And out of 11,000 pieces, you said you only had 70, which is just amazing.
Yes, yes.
It's really good. So what are the challenges? You've got 11,000 pieces, and also, are they all accessioned into a permanent collection, or some of them in a study collection? What's the status of their accessioning?
That is our permanent collection.
Wow.
It's 11,000 pieces.
So you don't maintain a study collection, they're all accessioned?
Correct. We do have a hands-on collection that's maintained separately. It's not part of our permanent collection because it will have general wear and tear as it interacts with the public. So that's how our public can really engage more hands-on with the artwork and discover the materials and the processes that art can be made from.
Sure. So what are some of the issues you're facing down here these days?
We are very happy to have a growing collection. Our Asian wing is especially rapidly growing. So storage is an issue that we will come up against in the near future, making sure that everything is safe, well housed, and fully documented. So it's just always an ongoing process of trying to stay on top of what the curators are bringing into the collection.
I noticed when I walked into the space, one of the first things I saw was your disaster readiness plan. So it was right there, able for everybody to see. So God forbid if something happens. So,
right.
Which is very important as far as being able to maintain all this work down here. Any idea of the amount of square footage that you have just for storage?
Oh, goodness.
I don't mean to challenge you on something in a way of quantifying it, but this area down here is huge. So
it is huge. I cannot tell you that, but we have storage spaces that equal the size of our exhibition hall.
Oh, good.
So we have at least 6,000 square feet of storage space, which is very good for us.
Right, and you're able to keep it all here on site, too, in the same building, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
We're down here in the basement, even though we have some skylights and natural light here, which is very nice as well, too. And so what about people, well, let me ask this first. As far as conserving work and repairing damaged work, how do you do that here in Gainesville?
It's difficult to do in Gainesville. We don't have a lot of resources. We do not have a conservator here on staff, so anytime we do have a problem with one of our objects, we need to outsource that, either have a conservator come here on site if they're able to, or we'd have to go through the logistics and the planning process of sending our object to a conservator. There aren't a lot of local conservators here, so we either have to look at the Miami area or greater metropolises up the coast.
Great, great. And most of your work, as you were saying, is from 19th and 20th century, so, which is good and bad, I guess, from a conservation standpoint as well, too. So if somebody was beginning to work in the registration area, any tips or pieces of advice that you would give them?
I would say for anyone that's interested in the registration field, especially students coming into the museum field, I really do believe that interning is so valuable in just having that practical experience. There are a lot of school programs that highlight museum studies as a master's degree or even a certificate, and then provide those internship experiences. And I really do think that on-the-job training and seeing how things actually work, not just in theory, is critical to understanding the registration department within a museum.
So the other question I have for you is, as far as building a network of colleagues and friends in the field, how have you gone about doing that?
Actually, some of my network has developed through the interns that I've had here,
Really?
that I've worked with. And then others is just working with loans and creating those relationships when the curators here have requested objects to come in and go out. So I have developed friendships and definitely professional relationships where I feel like I have a group of peers that I can reach out to whenever I have a question of, how have you handled this before? Or what is your hurricane preparedness like? Those
Right.
kinds of processes.
Right.
Yeah.
And speaking of hurricane preparedness, has that been an issue here in Gainesville?
It has been. We have a very active hurricane season. We're entering hurricane season now. So sort of on-the-job training and asking those peers, oh, I have this particular outdoor sculpture. How have you dealt with things like this before? So, but definitely hurricanes are an issue, and we've had to remove artwork to keep things safe.
Yeah, certainly our colleagues in Houston faced a lot of those issues last year.
Yes.
It was a big deal. And so reaching out to other colleagues in the field, do you attend conferences, or are there places that you go to meet them? Which places do you find most helpful?
Yes, I do occasionally will attend a conference, the Florida Association of Museums. I will attend that. I also just like to try to actually take my staff out on local trips, because sometimes we can't all attend those conferences, and it's simple enough for us to be able to just rent a van and see who we can visit within a day's trip. And there are lots of museums here in Florida that we can reach. So taking those little field trips and meeting folks and seeing how their processes and museums function.
Yeah. And we were also talking about your relationship with the curators here. You say there are 5 different areas, and so there are, I don't know how many curators you have here. How many do you have?
We have 6 curators here.
Yeah. And so what's the relationship with them like?
We work very, very closely with them. The Harn is very exhibition driven, as far as we are constantly turning exhibitions over in the galleries. So we are always working with our curators to design and implement those exhibitions. And then also they're doing research on the collection, which we are recording for that documentation. So we work very closely with our curators.
Well, I want to thank you for all the time you've given us
You're
here.
welcome.
It's been great to see your storerooms, and everything just seems to be preserved and stored in a great way. And so thank you for all of your time. So,
Thank you very much.
okay.